This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 583.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology.
Hi, hello everybody. This is Adam Silvey, host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. There are none next weekend. Sad, but true. But that then takes us right to the next segment, segment one in the news, because PressConf just happened last week. It's in Arizona. And if you recall, PressConf didn't exist until this year. It's the new version, the new reboot, if you will, of Pressnomics that was put on for many years. I think, at least 5, maybe 7, I don't know, a higher end conference, middle of the week type of thing. I think it was like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in Arizona for business owners, agency owners, a much higher ticket price than a WordCamp, but also nothing's recorded. So you can't go back. You have to pay attention. You have to be there, interact, talk to people, or you miss it. And it's one talk at a time kind of thing. Really cool. I went to Pressnomics 5. Did I go to any other ones? I think I might have gone to 6, but I definitely went to 5. Anyway, it was taken over by Raquel. She was the lead on this, and it was amazing. I say it was amazing to watch from afar. Some FOMO for sure. I paid attention via Twitter, just some pictures and people who I knew were there. A lot of friends were there. Wish I could have gone, but I did not make it due to just travel schedule. And I'll be in Arizona actually in a week from this episode drops, but it was just not going to work in my schedule this time. So that's the news. Yeah, I guess if you are a business owner, agency owner, growing, looking to really network and connect with the business side of things, definitely check out PressConf if they have it again next year. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. I will reach out to Raquel to get maybe some takes from her. Maybe she can send something in if she hears this on her own. That'd be awesome. All right, moving on, segment 2, the meat and potatoes of this week's episode. So as I mentioned a few weeks ago, my business is down. Actually, just last week, business was down from last year, right? And that's all due to me, lack of doing BD, business development. And with that, if you recall, I think I also mentioned last year I canceled my subscription with my CRM Pipedrive because it didn't make sense to keep paying for a tool that I wasn't really using to its fullest capacity. It really didn't make sense at all. I was just pretty much using it because I like to have the email inbox use where I could see when people actually opened emails, but it doesn't make sense to pay money for that. So that being said, it looks like I might need to start using a CRM again. Because it ties into one of the membership sites, the projects I've mentioned in the past that I'm currently working on building with forums and a membership, etc., and workflows, and I'm looking at costs. So that brings me to this week's episode, which is reviewing FluentCRM. Now, this came to my attention, which I've heard about it before. FluentCRM, they also have Fluent support, Fluent forms. There's a whole bunch of things in that ecosystem. And I'm not going to go to the forums right now only because I am a Gravity Forms user with a pro dev license for life, etc. So again, I've heard about it for a bit, chatting with my friend Kurt from Manano No Mas and Lifter LMS, and it came up again. So based on that, I'm testing it. I'm going to talk about it with you right now. First impressions of testing is that it's relatively easy to install. It is, if you don't know, a WordPress-based CRM. It's a plugin. You install it into your site. Okay. From there, it takes you right off, once you activate it, to an onboarding welcome screen with a configuration wizard that says 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'll go through that. You could skip it if you don't want to skip it, but I went through the configuration wizard. Basically, it asks you company name, your address, and a logo. Great. I did that. Clicked next. And then it asks you to create some contact segment lists. So example would be like VIP customers, product users, WordPress users. After that, you get a chance to enter contact tags, and that are like segmented lists. So it tells you, but you can then be more specific in your filtering. For example, product X user, product Y, an influencer, etc. After that, you do get the opportunity to install Fluent Forms, which I did not do because I am a Gravity Forms user with a dev license, and it just made more sense for me to keep that way for now. Next up, you can go ahead and share essentials and diagnostics, sign up for the monthly newsletter. I skipped that. I ran this, by the way, in my local development environment, just on my computer, just to be easier and faster. And then from there, you can import contacts or go to the CRM dashboard. So in this case, I would normally go to the dashboard, but you know what? I figured it's a CRM. The first option was import contacts, so I did that. It takes you to their import screen within the settings. So it kind of just goes past their dashboard, but right into the dashboard. It's like one of the settings in it. From there, you can add, import, or export. Importing options are through the CRM or WordPress users from other services. Clicking that provides you options to import from MailChimp, ConvertKit, MailerLite, Drip, and ActiveCampaign. I was interested in how that might work. Clicking inside of each of those, you just get a link to the documentation with Fluent to migrate from that service, which looks pretty basic in the sense that you have to get an API key and then you migrate it in. So you have to connect the two services to go from A to B. Okay, B being the new one being Fluent. Okay. Leaving that area, I then went to the dashboard of WordPress. I see a custom post type on the top left, Fluent CRM. Clicking that gets you to their dashboard. Down the menu on the left is, dashboard, contacts, lists and tags inside the contacts, campaigns, recurring email sequences and email templates, forms, automations, settings, reports, SMTP, and help. On the far right of the dashboard, this was cool, I thought. There's a list of tasks to do that get crossed out as they are done. For example, creating a tag, importing a contact, creating a campaign. So it's kind of neat, the kind of getting started process, a little checkbox for you, a little process for you to take care of. So I went ahead and I was curious about importing contacts. And I went ahead and grabbed 100 contacts CSV file, and I did that. Really simple, pretty basic. Next up, create a campaign. And clicking into that takes you to the interface to compose the email. Clicking next after that, you add a subject. I thought that was a little backwards. Normally, I would add the subjects and the settings of who it goes to before I add the content. But anyway, I also realized that in the free version, you only have access to the basic layout content settings versus their visual designer. That's a pro version only. Again, I don't think I mentioned this. There's a free level of Fluent CRM and a paid level. I'm using the free level for right now. Actually, you know what? I have a note here. Scratch that. There is a mix. Its block editor is also kind of available, giving you some designability, but it's not super friendly to me, in my opinion, because that's me not knowing the block editor as well as others may have. So keep that in mind. The free version does have some design, but it's not the visual editor that they give you in the pro version. Okay, so after that, you then pick the recipients based on lists and tags. You can also exclude certain people and then move forward to review. You can then send now or schedule. And you have a choice there also for schedule, specific date, time range, but that is a pro feature. All right, so that was kind of interesting, I thought. Also in the general settings area are reoccurring campaigns. It's a pro feature. And email sequences, also a pro feature. Okay, so overall, fairly straightforward on getting it set up. But I wanted more. As I'm working on a few things, I wanted to see how I could integrate it with Gravity Forms. Or could I? Lo and behold, as is anything with WordPress, what's best method? The answer is it depends. Now, of course, I could have used Fluent Forms, probably. Might have been easier. And they have a free version that would probably just work fine for the basic integrations. But I wanted a new user to be created and registered with the form. And since I own Gravity Forms, the developer license, I knew I could do that. It made more sense to go that route. So that being said, there isn't a way to connect the two built in. I tried a few options here. I tried Uncanny Automator. Didn't quite work. It gave me partially working, but then it errored out. I dug in a bit, but then I tried WP Fusion and that did it much easier, honestly. It just literally was super simple. I then went ahead and backed out a little bit. I wanted to add a specific user role for each new person that registered through the My Gravity form that would then, add it to the CRM. So I added User Role Manager as a plugin. I created a new user that was no role, and that way, when somebody created an account, they would not have any automation set up for the new role yet until we, did some things on the inside, being the owner of the site, manually approving everybody. Anyway, again, Uncanny Automator might come into play for this, adding some more automations once the status is changed in the form, but for right now, no need. Okay. Now, what's this mean for you? What are the use cases you might use it for yourself? Of course, you could tie it to a membership. You can use it for newsletters or drip series, onboarding automations like I'm trying to do, client touch points, sending out reminders, a sales funnel setup without ever leaving WordPress. You just kind of have it all there. Now, how does this compare with other services like Pipedrive? Well, to be honest, I was a little confused. Since to me, it seems like a CRM is for client and customer relationship manager. That's what it stands for. This tool seems to want to push the angle of the mail service provider, the MSP, like MailerLite or Aweber or Constant Contact, etc. And in my mind, there are two separate entities. But after talking to my good friend Sally, I realized that those companies, well, she told me again, I'm like, she's right. Those companies are merging not only the CRM and the MSP, but also landing pages, sales pages, etc. They're becoming all-in-one things. And I guess I just have to get my head wrapped around the concept that this is doing the same thing. FluentCRM is just that same thing where it's taking a client piece of information, any new user, and then lets you email from within it. So it's also kind of merging the, what's the other, MailPoet does kind of a similar thing. So you just have access to everything inside your WordPress installation. So final thoughts, next steps. Will I keep using it? Yes, I will, because I think it makes the most sense for what I'm trying to do at the moment. Any more tests? A lot more tests, because I'm trying to build these two new services. So I'm gonna have to kind of go down this path and figure this out. Best case for membership with money, and another one with membership without money, and that kind of thing. I would love to talk to anyone who knows it further. If you have FluentCRM and doing some integrations with membership, reach out. I'd love to talk to you about it. If you want me to do a deeper dive, walkthrough style tutorial, I can also do that as well. So there you go. Quick 30,000 foot view, FluentCRM. Pretty cool, a lot of features, a lot of functionality, relatively simple, free level, paid level. And actually, let's see, what does the paid level cost? Let me check that for you here real quick. It looks like it is relatively affordable, $103 for 1 year for one site, one domain. And then if you want to do 5 sites, $200 a year, 50 sites, $400 a year. Not too bad. Also, keep in mind, I'm checking to use this along with Fluent Community, which is going to be having a review for me coming up soon as well, for the forums aspect. That's what I'm trying to tie together here. So FluentCRM, Fluent Community with Gravity Forms, and then some payment on one of them and no payment on the other one. So the payment one might get a membership plugin. So it's a little interesting how I'm trying to figure this out. Anyway, there you go. That is it for that. Moving on to segment 3, tip and tool of the week. Actually, it's tied into this as well. I had a hiccup a few times of the segments and tags when I was kind of going through that wizard, and there's no way to go back in the wizard. So I wasn't sure if I'd have a chance to do it later and fix it. I mean, I figured I would, but I wanted to go forward, but I had to fix something. So I use a plugin called WP Reset. It's really fast. There's a free and paid versions, but it completely can nuke the site, take you back to from square one. So I did that like 3 times because of my own mistake. So WP Reset is the tip and tool of the week. It's a plugin. I use the free version. I'll link in the show notes. Check it out if you need to reboot or reset your server, your WordPress installation to kind of go from when you first install things. Again, I ran this locally through local, so I wasn't too worried about that. All right, there you go. We'll wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com. or use that SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, you can become a Patreon. You can also buy me a coffee. If you want to sponsor the show, there's a form on the website. Fill that out, get right back to you. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right, bye-bye.